IDW Sonic Comic Issue 9. Gee, I wonder if the heroes will win. They have to, so the story better be interesting. After recap pages that waste my time and disturbingly have narration by Metal Sonic, we see Angel Island, which is in a lightning storm by sheer coincidence, purely to add to the tension of the scene. There's also an Eggman statue on the island now, since he was programmed to love his creator. I guess the lake is constantly supplied with more water by magic at its origin place. Because that's the only way it can make sense that all the water on the island won't just fall off the island in that waterfall and dry it up. It's nice of Amy to thank her friends for showing up. I'm glad nobody in the room just tells Knuckles to calm down when he's mad and downplays his problem, because he has every reason to be angry at Metal Sonic. So it'd be dumb for him to be portrayed as just a dumb hothead for this. It was satisfying that Knuckles was written to Lampshade, "I never should have left." It'd be weird if he never learned his lesson from this. I can't help but wonder why Amy's making the plan against Metal Sonic, instead of the genius Tails. When has he been portrayed as too naive to be a good leader in this comic? Or even in the games aside from that one time in Colors. Anyways, Amy says they're gonna split into 3 teams. Teams 1 and 2 will attack the shorelines and break the Egg Fleet's control of the island. I have a question. Why isn't she telling them all the plan on the way to Angel Island? That way they could get there faster and stop him before he do anything bad. I don't see how she actually needs to point to that blue screen as a visual aid. She just has to tell them what to do. Team 3 will confront Metal Sonic at the Eggman statue to secure the Master Emerald and rob the fleet of its commander. Won't it just keep doing what it's been doing without him? The people in the fleet are just robots. Naturally, Knuckles is on Team 3. I like that he insists on it. Blaze offers to confront Metal Sonic in her super form, but I can't help but find it off-putting and overly meta that Blaze says "Burning Blaze." Since when has any of the Sonic characters said that? I'd rather if she said, "in my super form." Sonic says that'd be amazing. I wonder if it's just getting my hopes up for nothing, because it's generating hype. Amy continues a shocking trend of being a complete idiot by asking how that's possible. Isn't it obvious she could use a super form with a bunch of magical emeralds? I can kind of understand if Sonic's so not close with Amy due to how she insists on flirting with him, that he didn't feel like telling her all about Blaze in all this time. And Blaze has no reason to be close with Amy either, especially since she introduced herself as someone who would try to hit Cream with a hammer in Sonic Rush. Sonic would rather brag about his adventures to someone he doesn't feel uncomfortable with. Still, the fact remains that it was obvious that a person could go super to beat Metal Sonic. And I know the reboot isn't canon to this, but still, I watched an entire arc where Amy was pretty good friends with Blaze. So it's kind of weird to see Amy not being familiar with the Soul Emeralds. Because the reboot is based on the games too. I hate that Amy was written to not know about the Soul Emeralds, even if it could be justified. Because all that does is waste our time with Blaze blathering on for an entire panel. Tails doesn't like her plan. Fortunately, it seems to be for intelligent reasons. He wonders if Metal Sonic could neutralize the power of the Soul Emeralds as well as the Chaos Emeralds. Knuckles says that it can't, and tells him to not ask how he knows, and to call it a hunch. I wish he was written to say, "the Master Emerald told me," which he should know as the Guardian. It's so ridiculously nice of Tails to immediately trust Knuckles to be right on a mere hunch, when I don't see why the Soul Emeralds would function on anything different from Chaos Energy. And Knuckles is wrong a lot, but I guess it's perfectly plausible for there to be 2 types of magic, and the Master Emerald wouldn't have a spell on it to neutralize Soul Emeralds, because Soul Emeralds were never introduced to it. I wish Knuckles said that instead. Tails says that if Metal Sonic copied Blaze's powers, he might use fire magic, and maybe even harness the Soul Emeralds for himself. Good point. Oh crap, the heroes really need to avoid bringing anyone super powerful to Metal Sonic then. Silver is the worst case scenario for someone he could copy. But if Silver simply went up behind him when he'd be unable to hear him, he could still telekinesis him apart immediately. And he could have to fight a bunch of people who would distract him before Silver would use his telekinesis on him from behind him. Blaze's logic was probably that she would completely melt Metal Sonic before he'd get the chance to do anything, so of course she wasn't thinking about what he'd do to her. But it's possible that his metal is more fire resistant than she realizes, so that would backfire if it was true. Captain Metal was resistant to her fire, except when she was burning Blaze, so she would literally destroy him one hit. But maybe Neo is much tougher in Metal than Captain Metal. That's safe to assume with how he's portrayed as an upgrade from the normal Metal Sonic. Blaze thanks him for looking out for her, as I'm thankful that there was a proper explanation for not using her super form against Metal. But still, it's a bit disappointing because that would have been something new. If only slightly new, because it's just two ideas in a new context. Amy says that Neo shouldn't be near the fleet, so she puts Blaze on Team 1, Sonic and Knuckles on Team 3 to attack Angel Island, and everyone else on Team 2. It makes sense that Sonic and Knuckles are the ones on Team 3 because he already has Sonic's powers and barely anything would change from him copying Knuckles' powers. He could get super strength, but functionally that wouldn't matter anyways. He could lift up large stuff, but the heroes would just dodge his attacks or be fine after getting hit because he can't die. So it'd just be another attack. He'd hit harder, but they're gonna be fine no matter what. And Knuckles is with Sonic to give him some backup just in case, because apparently Metal Sonic was too much for just Sonic to handle last time, and he's the safest backup. So I guess he has to be with Sonic. Still, it's baffling that he doesn't destroy his airship, because I mentioned before that Knuckles could destroy entire airships by himself with his super strength. Couldn't he punch them all apart by himself and then go join Sonic? Amy doesn't really need to devote entire teams to destroying the Egg Fleet when she has a guy with super strength right there who can glide. The airship could be constantly supplying the island with robots. Sonic thanks Whisper for coming to help even a bunch of people at once, and considerately says he'll give her some space. Rouge lampshades that Shadow is up for a big team up too, when he has every reason to be here regardless, so she shouldn't have ever been surprised. He has Chaos Control. But to be fair, Tails was already worried about Neo copying people's powers. And he could turn around at light speed if he's as fast as Sonic. So while Shadow could potentially destroy Metal Sonic with Chaos Control if he attacked first, it'd be way more likely that he'd be spotted first. Especially since apparently the heroes have to go into the place that Metal Sonic's in. And Metal Sonic would see them immediately, so he could react first. But Shadow could sneak up on him from behind while Metal's distracted fighting other people and can't hear him. Then he'd beat him in one hit. I guess the idea is he and Blaze would be done by that point. And then they're supposed to go fight Metal Sonic. And it was implied in SE2 that Shadow needs to be in his super form to be able to warp away something as big as, say, the Ark. And maybe the airship is larger than the Ark? Maybe he doesn't, it was never outright stated. He and Sonic just happened to be in their super forms at the time because they had them to defeat the Bio Lizard. But if you go with that, he couldn't just warp away every airship, because his power without his super form has limits, apparently. And I guess without his inhibitor rings, he'd fall out of the sky and die from exhausting all his power from that. Then Blaze asks if they're sure that Whisper can be trusted. To be fair, she doesn't know her personally and is already on edge about to face Metal Sonic. This is the first she's hearing about the Guardian Angel. So if there was anyone in the team that was most likely to betray them, it would be the new guy. And Blaze is fortunately reminded about how she was defensive when they all first met. Amy hopes she'll be careful on her own, and fortunately admits that she needs to stay positive. Yeah, that's when I like her best. It makes sense that some people would play cards to pass the time getting to Angel Island in the airship they apparently have. Why don't they call this airship the Sky Patrol? Tangle asks Silver if he's using his powers or future knowledge to cheat at the card game. The former would be obvious to everyone, and the latter, he won't ever have historical records of this game. But fortunately, she's drawn having her tail behind him as she's gonna steal his cards. So she was just asking these inane questions to distract him, and Vector can see her doing this and smirks. We're in the middle of the story and no action has happened. I wasn't expecting that. Couldn't we just see the heroes do their plan instead of seeing Amy tell them the plan first? Fortunately, Tangle admits that she was just messing with Silver, who fortunately realizes one of his cards is missing. And she admits that his card is worse than hers. I guess she has to admit that because he's gonna see her eventually. Knuckles is too unhappy about his island to play and is just gonna stand there. And Sonic calls Tails the captain and says that the best place to be is with him. Tails thanks him and gives him a thumbs up. Then fortunately they see an explosion to liven up the boring, slow story. Tails says the entire Egg Fleet is bombarding them, and tells Sonic to grab their extreme gear. I wish it was called airboards instead. That'd be easy for even a complete newcomer to understand right away. I'm glad they're being used after Archie though. It's just that Extreme Gear doesn't tell you anything about what they are. He says he'll get them as close as he can, and Sonic calls him Buddy as he leaves. Blaze is told to fly to the island, and Amy tells Tails they've got to go, as Tails tries to put in the final trajectory. Him being written to trail off was just misleading, because instead of getting interrupted, he does have time to finish what he's doing. And the heroes all leave their airship as there's an explosion behind them. I guess from the airship exploding, in which case him planning its trajectory was pointless. Amy gives orders and finds out Shadow went off on his own instead of following orders. Since when? Because he has to follow Gun's orders, or who knows what would happen to him, but he doesn't take her seriously. And I guess in Sonic Heroes, he was in charge the whole time. Amy blathers on in boring orders I don't want to read about, and then the heroes start fighting. Good, now I can skim through the story and cut ahead, since it's all predictable. I guess their fighting is worthwhile because they have to prevent the robots from interfering in Sonic's fight. I thought some of them were going to defeat the Egg Fleet. Knuckles complains that the Master Emerald's power is cut off from him. How? It's not like Metal Sonic is Finitevus, a magical wizard scientist. He punches to get past the metal door and they walk up to Metal Sonic. Why are they wasting time talking to him and boring the hell out of us with generic dialogue? Well, to be fair, they can only walk up the stairs to get to him so fast, so they can't attack him immediately, and they just want to call him out cathartically. But I'm so bored! Knuckles was extremely lucky that the flash of light that sent him backwards didn't cause him to fall down the stairs there. It didn't look like there was any room for him to land and no way to catch himself, and we didn't see Sonic catch him. But somehow that didn't happen to him and he's fine. The story ends with Metal being powered up with the Master Emerald, of course, but its appearance completely rips off when Mecha Sonic did that with no creativity at all. So I guess he'll do all the same things as Mecha Sonic too. And it'll be the exact same strategy to defeat him. So much for the Master Emerald also powering a machine, other than just Metal Sonic. Like a reality changer, or a doomsday device. I was wondering what he'd do with the Emerald to surprise us, aside from the obvious of powering himself up. They just took the lazy and predictable route. But of course the heroes got to him before he could make a machine. And what machine would he even have? Another mecha? That'd be even more done to death than this. If Eggman had a doomsday device or a reality changer already made that he could find, he would have used it already, and it would have been destroyed already. My point is, it powering up a machine could have added a bit more to the stakes. This issue is by Ian Flynn. I guess the story was alright, because it didn't piss me off, but man was it boring to slog through. With no action happening as the heroes get told the plan by Amy and then show up at Angel Island. It does succeed at a tense tone when their airship gets attacked and crashes. Not to mention the storms happening. Too bad for them none of the robots get struck by lightning. Seriously, robots are conductive to electricity. You'd think lightning would have hit some of them. They all end up on Angel Island and just fight easy robots. At least me getting to see Amy making the plan let me see the logic behind it. Tails gives justifications for why the heroes won't use Burning Blaze and why she's only sending Sonic and Knuckles after Metal Sonic instead of everyone. Because he doesn't want him copying any overpowered abilities that would guarantee a victory, which would happen if he didn't die in one hit immediately. The risk of him getting telekinesis or chaos control isn't worth going anywhere near. Still, nearly all of my hopes for a creative fight with him were dashed when he just copied Mecha Sonic and went super with the Emerald. Which was so lame because it's already been done. Why does he have to turn yellow too? At least in the ending of Sonic Heroes, he was doing something he never did before. So that was at least memorable and made an impression. Even if I didn't really like the stupid dragon. But here he actually gets to use his speed and fight like you'd imagine him to. But if he's just gonna fight the same way he always does, what's the point of the super form? Invincibility doesn't matter because he has to lose regardless. And he's not allowed to injure the characters regardless. All that boredom was hard to push through where they just stood around talking. Which makes me feel like this is an expendable issue. All that happened after they got to Angel Island was they got to it and started fighting robots. You could skip this and miss nothing. And I didn't expect there to be an entire filler issue. There's a reason I assumed the story would start out with them all the way on Angel Island. Wasn't it advertised as the battle for Angel Island? It took forever to get to the battle part.